the antagonist at the core. Kirei Kotomine is one of Fate Stay Night's most compelling antagonists because he is not motivated by greed, revenge, or power. His driving force is far stranger. He is a man born without the capacity to find joy in the things normal people are supposed to love. Art, friendship, love, religion. Nothing gave him satisfaction. And worst of all, he was fully aware of this flaw. From his youth, he was told what a good person should be, and he followed that path mechanically, without understanding why. This hollowness isn't portrayed as a tragic accident in his upbringing. Fate makes it clear that Kirei's nature is simply misaligned with normal human happiness. A life of masquerade. To the outside world, Kirei was the model son of a priest. He became an executor for the church at a rather young age, hunting heretics, dead apostles, and magi alike. He even married a woman named Claudia Hortensia. Although it was not out of love, but because it seemed like the next correct step in life. All the while, his heart was unmoved. The rare times he felt something close to enjoyment were in moments of destruction or in witnessing the suffering of others. This is first initially hinted at when Kirei's wife ends up killing herself to prove that he can feel sadness. Kirei does cry, not out of sadness for losing her though. Instead, it's rather sadness at the fact that he couldn't kill his wife with his own hands and enjoy her death. He hated himself for this reaction, burying it under layers of religious discipline and service. Even going so far as to shave away his skin, ripping off his flesh, and dislocating his bones. Rather than surrendering himself to his condition by indulging in twisted pleasure, he tried looking within his own body for what could not be found in his mind, attempted to use mental pain, which is more significant than physical pain for missionaries, and attempted to abstain from eating during their pious acts. After 10 years of such things, all of his purgatories and sufferings were useless to change him. Unable to reach an epiphany, he arrived at the single conclusion that he did not have the sense to feel normal happiness. He turned to religion with fervor to turn himself into a normal person, believing that God may eventually bring him salvation. The path that became his creed was to become a priest and preach like his father. It is said that God forgives everything, so he should also save someone who is not born with it. The result for him was tragic, as he abided by the rules of God, followed the law, and lived modestly with no results. He could not find greater pleasure than the pain of others, and while the church's teachings forbid immorality, immorality was all he had at the time. The temptations of the devil. In Fate Zero, Kirei meets Gilgamesh, who acts like a philosophical devil perched on his shoulder. Gilgamesh sees through Kirei immediately and asks a question that will define the rest of Kirei's life. Why do you seek answers to your own nature from others? Through their conversations, Kirei begins to realize that his emptiness might not be a curse to remove, but rather is something that will always be a part of him, no matter what he does. Gilgamesh tempts him to explore those rare feelings of excitement he experiences when witnessing the tragedy, anguish, and despair of others. The turning point comes in the fourth Holy Grail Wars finale, when the Grail's corruption destroys Fuyuki City in a sea of fire. In that moment, Kirei feels a pure, intoxicating joy. He doesn't try to justify it anymore. He willingly accepts it. Happiness in evil. From that day forward, Kirei stops running from himself. He no longer tries to mimic a virtuous man. Instead, he pursues situations where he can experience that same joy, pushing others toward despair, orchestrating tragedies, and watching the extremes of human desire unfold. It's crucial to note, Kirei does not enjoy causing pain for its own sake, like a cartoon villain. His fascination lies in witnessing the revelation of a person's true self when they are pushed to the breaking point. Evil is simply the most effective tool for drawing out that raw humanity. A prime example of this is when Kirei manipulates Kirei into killing Aoi Tosaka. You see, at the point Kirei interacts with Kirei, he's already a bag of suffering. He's dealing with the crest worms and wing blade worms in his body, which are constantly eating away at his nerves and organs. Constantly in agony because of Lancelot and had barely managed to survive a head-on fire blast from Tokiomi Tosaka. The only thing that kept him going was his goal of getting payback on Tokiomi and saving Sakura. So once Kirei figures all of this out, he decides, hey, what if I make him fully crash out? He approaches Kirei with a deal. In return for kidnapping Iris Veal von Einsburn using Berserker in the guise of Rider, he is promised victory and the Holy Grail. To this end, Kirei replenishes Kirei's spent command spells with reserve seals he acquired from his murdered father. Kotomine's promise amuses Zoken, who sees through the priest's deceptions and reveals that he had never expected Kirei to win the war in the first place. Kirei confronts Tokiomi, only to find him already dead, seconds before Aoi walks in on him. She misinterprets the situation, and in her grief blames him and the Matu family for taking away both Sakura and her husband. She accuses Kirei of never having loved anyone, completely oblivious to how he had always loved her. This breaks Kirei's heart and his resolve, revealing that he endured it all for her sake in the first place, and in utter frustration and disappointment, causing him to blindly lash out and strangle her in a moment of temporary madness. It is later revealed that the entire incident had been orchestrated by Kirei, whose sole intent was to derive amusement from it. Kirei then suffers from a psychological breakdown and cries out hysterically as he leaves the church believing he murdered Aoi. The Dark Mirror. In Fate's Stay Night, Kirei serves as a perfect thematic foil to Shirou Emiya. Shirou finds meaning in saving others, even at the cost of himself. Kirei finds meaning in watching others destroy themselves, even if he gains nothing tangible from it. Both are, in a sense, broken. Their drives are obsessive, self-defining, and hard for normal people to relate to. The difference is that Shirou's brokenness pushes him toward altruism, while Kirei's nature drives him towards the suffering of others. The villain who found his smile. Kirei's tragedy is that he only discovers happiness when embracing something universally condemned. His smile in the face of carnage, destruction, despair, anguish, and suffering is genuine. Not because he's pretending to be a monster, but because for the first time in his life, he doesn't feel like an empty hollow puppet following what people expect of him and instead genuinely feels like his truest self. This makes him uniquely dangerous because he doesn't want the Grail for wealth, domination, or resurrection. He just wants it to create scenarios where humanity's most desperate wishes and ugliest truths are laid bare simply so he can watch it all happen from a distance. Conclusion. Kirei Kotomine's appeal as a villain lies in the fact that he is not an evil genius chasing power, nor a madman without reason, but rather is a man who spent decades trying to live as the world told him, only to discover that his true self thrives best in the conditions of human sin.